I was muted. Let me unmute. Get all the things set up. I'm a little bit late because I was doing actual work. Actual work needed to be done. Let's find the tunes. I have to turn down the tunes. There we are. View on Apple Music. Let's do 2. All right. All right, now we're about set up. Hello and welcome to nobody, first of all, or maybe 1 or 2 people. Oh man, why does my stupid stream information never update properly? This is not... I gotta figure out how to get this fixed. Also, why is the music playing out of the wrong speakers? Whatever. My whole setup is all jacked up right now. Hope you can hear me. Let me change the stream information because that's wrong. Audio plugins developing. Creating VST plugins from scratch. Working on ST plugins. Come hang. Okay. Stream information has been updated. We'll have to do that offline next time. So, hello. I'm Adam. Do I need to do the preamble? Does it matter? How many of you are here that need the preamble? I am working as a game developer at a AAA studio, but today we are developing audio plugins, and what you're looking at right now is the Juice Producer. It helps me set up files and stuff like that to make plugins. And last week we ended where I hadn't put really cool UI stuff on my previous plugin. We're doing 1 plugin a week is the idea for the year. So believe it or not, we're like 3 or 4 weeks into the year already. It looks like I'm actually ahead of the game. I'm actually on week 4 when I should be on week 3. So we made this slider last week, or we made this pitch shifter last week. And if I open this up in Reaper, I'm going to show you where that one wound up. So if I open up VSTs, this is where it landed. So I have my trash pitch shifter in week 3. We've got a cool little 8-bit background that was generated for me. We put some text on the screen, and then this slider will actually function, and this is a UI element that I downloaded. So that's kind of cool. I can make like 8-bit UIs and things like that. So this is done. This will shift down an octave and shift up an octave, and then if you double click it, it'll return to center. There are some bugs with it. If I go off of this pitch shifter and come back to it, it will reset itself in the midpoint. But we're not, like, none of these plugins am I attempting to actually release yet or do anything serious with. So then I started working on what I guess should be next week's plugin. And I was doing UI element studies with it last night. So this was a slider that's completely drawn from scratch. It's going to be the same pitch shifter whereas it pitches up and down. But today what I'm going to try to do is really explore why some of these UI elements work and why some of them don't and whatnot, because most of this is actually juice code that's found on GitHub. So what I'm trying to do with this is to recreate the default juice slider class, linear slider class, with my own code. So we're kind of the way there. I found some interesting things about it. Like these outlines are actually the outline of the slider object itself, and we draw within the slider object. The height differences are kind of interesting because the yellow box is actually where the thumb, this little orange thing for the slider, is supposed to live within, but the thumb can draw all the way down here, which is interesting, which I don't understand. And then the green box is the size of the slider. So it looks like there's this tiny green box here, but really the green box and the yellow box are the same exact draw, except for this line right here. So today we're going to take an hour and we're going to do some more playtime with trying to understand this and to look at the code. Adam Hour, what's up, Patrick? We're going to try to understand this and look at the code, and then Patrick's whole existence just reminded me that I need to make the font size on my Xcode bigger. So thank you for that. No, Mac, screw you. Why are you doing that to me? I'm so used to Windows is maximized that maximize screws me up. So let's go to editor, font size, not increase. No, we had a theme at one point. Twitch dark. Bam. Okay, so that should be way more readable. Patrick, shout at me. I feel like this should be, you should actually be able to read what I'm writing now. Looks great, but not as good as you. Not as good as you. Okay. So yesterday, I don't remember where I found this, and I kind of don't want to pull up Safari because I'm not sure exactly where my windows are on things. Let's do a new Safari window, and then choose draw linear slider. I want to explain some things, because as I explain some things, it helps me teach it, or talking through it helps me understand it better. GitHub. Here we go. Okay. So this is the look and feel demo class, or demo header file, that also comes with the Juice download. So this is local to my machine too. But how I learned to do the UI or overwrite the custom UI was through this file, which you can look at on GitHub. It is github.com/juiceframework, juice, blah, blah, blah. What I did was searched for draw linear slider GitHub, and yay. So what's happening here is we've got, Juice has a couple of different things that come with default with it. It's got a plugin editor, which is obviously the UI, and then the plugin processor, which is the thing that reads and modifies DSP code. And then we have these library things called look and feel. So I've made the H file of one paw look and feel, and this is my abstract class. If you use C#, you're probably used to the concept of interfaces. Interfaces are C#'s version of what C++ uses as abstract classes. So this is my base class for my look and feel. So every plugin that I make for the year is going to have custom visualization rules, and this is the base class for that. So right now we have a constructor that you can have a constructor that takes in a width and a height, and it will set the width and the height and the background color. Or you can just create the constructor and it will, you can just create it with no width and height, and it defaults. We've got some getters and setters for width and height, getter for typeface, setter for typeface, and then draw background is our only pure virtual function that needs to be set up. So that's what the equals 0 is. And then we have this class called draw linear slider, which is a virtual class in Juice's look and feel that we override here. It's intentionally we override it. And then we hit draw linear slider background and draw linear slider thumb. So these are also virtual functions that we override. but they're also given to us by Juice. So what I'm doing here is in the base class, we override draw linear slider, and then the child classes and the derived classes, there we go, we overwrite draw linear slider background and draw linear slider thumb. So that's the derived class is this Juice 4 look and feel, which doesn't really, it's just, its constructor passes information along to the one plugin a week look and feel. We have that draw background class that's currently not doing anything that doesn't get called right now. And then I've copied a bunch of code from that GitHub page, which is draw around thumb, and then essentially most of the body of draw linear slider background and draw linear slider thumb are that draw linear slider has so many parameters. Yeah, it does, but most of them actually get used. What's really confusing, so again, I've copied most of this code, with the exception, so this, like what's commented here has been copied. So I drew my own rounded rectangle last night, and I was trying to understand, like, there's some really weird things when you get the why are words hard? When you get the arguments from this function, int x has always been 0, int y has always shown up as 12. Width is exactly what I would expect for the slider width, but height is actually smaller than I would expect. And slider position is the default slider position, minimum slider pause, max slider pause, all fine. Style and slider are all fine too. I don't understand X, Y, width, and height. It's just very, very weird. So what I decided to do this time is, let's remove background X because it's not being used and I don't need it. Are we using new slider width? I don't think we're using new slider width either. I don't see it. Yeah. We are not. It just hasn't gotten mad at me about it yet. At least I don't think we are. Okay, we're going to get rid of it because why not? So, what we're doing right now is we set the colors to lime. That's the outline that you see, and I'm drawing an empty rectangle just to see the overall. And you'll see here, draw rect gives me an X, a Y, a width, and a height. So I'm not using the width and height property that are passed to draw linear slider because they're like fucked up and wrong, and I don't understand. What's up, Hagerman? Thanks for hanging out. It's good to see you too, even though technically I can't see you other than the text on the screen, but you know what I mean. So I really don't understand what width and height they're doing here, but X and Y, I wrapped my head around last night. When I draw a rectangle at 0, 0, what's happening, let me actually pull up Reaper to walk through this. And as I verbalize this is actually going to be even easier to understand for myself. It's this one, pitch shifter colors. So you got to remember this green outline here at the bottom. That's what we're talking about when I'm talking about draw linear slider background, and we have this color of lime and this draw rect. We're drawing a lime rectangle, and it looks like it's only down here, but really it's the entire space of that yellow rectangle plus the lime down here. Okay. So what this is actually doing, I assume an ellipse function. Never mind, that's a rect. Yeah, it's not an ellipse. We'll get to ellipse, but we're not there yet. So at this point, I'm just trying to be like, okay, what's my space? Like, what is the space that I'm working with, and why are things going here? So 0, 0 at draw rect is oddly doing this thing where I'm now in the plugin editor in the C file. Okay. Slider is the one slider I have in the project. I'm setting its bounds, and its bounds are X, Y, width, and height. Okay. So what has happening here is I'm taking the entire width of the entire plugin and dividing it by 2. So I'm getting half of the width of the plugin, which should be the center, right? And then I'm subtracting from that half the width of the entire slider itself, which at this point is 50. So that's me trying to get the dead midpoint of, I want to get the middle of the slider in the exact middle of the plugin, right? This is the same thing here, but with the vertical with the y-axis. So I'm trying to get the vertical part of the slider right in the middle vertically too, right? So what these numbers play out to be is if I then go into my look and feel class, this 0, 0, if I don't modify the X and the Y at all, like the draw rect here is a modification to the position of the slider. So if I do nothing, if I add nothing to 0, or if I add nothing to X and nothing to Y, then then the slider is 100% properly put into this, sorry, not plug-in processor, this middle position as described by the X and Y arguments here. So whatever I do on the look and feel class in the draw rect here, if I do like 50 on X, it will move 50 pixels from the exact middle position, like from the original definition of the bounds. And if I completely remove the bounds, then it like totally fucks up and doesn't work. So I don't get it. Width and height don't work the same, and I haven't really understood how width and height work in this draw linear slider background class or function. So what I've been doing is I'm just like, F you width and height, I don't care. I just want the actual slider width and the actual slider height. So that's what's happening. So then we change the color to white after we draw the rectangle, and then we get the slider radius, the slider thumb radius, which like, I don't even know, I don't really understand how this is getting a proper radius. Like let's see if I can even jump to the definition of that. I guess I'd have to jump to the reference, but show code actions. I don't even know. Anyway, I could find it, but I'm not going to try to deal with it right now. So there's a magical thumb radius that Juice has, and it gives it to me. Okay. Like, we'll figure that out later. So I take that slider radius, and then I fill a rounded rectangle, which is what the white thing is. So this white background here, that's the slider, is the fill rounded rectangle. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking, again, the width, which, this could be slider.getWidth. This is the width and getWidth are the same thing. They actually do show up as the exact same thing, but just for ease of understanding, let's do this. Slider.getWidth. So we're taking half the width again, so we're getting right in the middle of the slider, and then we're taking the slider radius and dividing it by 4, and subtracting that, simply because this then puts me like, the smaller that I make this 4 number, the smaller the overall size of the slider is. Invalid operands to binary expression void and float. What the hell is happening here? Oh, I understand. Deleted too many of those. So yeah, I don't remember exactly why I did slider radius divided by 4. I know that the divided by 4 makes it smaller. But yeah, so this is again our X, this is our Y. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know how to explain what slider radius is doing here yet. So then we don't need to move our Y at all, because the Y is the very top of the slider anyway. Width is slider radius divided by 2, because slider radius was too big, so I divided it by 2. And then we do slider.getHeight, because we want the height to extend all the way. And then this 3 is the radius of the roundedness of the rectangle. So then that draws this white part here. So that's cool and good. What would be really neat is figuring out and understanding how this commented code works, because this will fill a color. Like normally you can move this slider around and there will be a darker color down here than up here. It's not necessarily needed for the pitch shifter, but it'd be really kind of cool to understand that. And then get linear slider thumb draws the orange thumb, which this is all the base code. Like this is all the GitHub copied code, and it's wild. But you can see actually, this is not the GitHub copy code. This is, we set the color to yellow and then we draw a rectangle, which then this yellow rectangle right here is that rectangle, right? So you can see how the height property is a little funky because it's actually shorter than the slider's height for no good reason. And yet I can also still move the slider all the way down to the bottom. Don't understand. Don't understand at all. So, I think what would be nice, let's see, what do I want to do? This is the question, is what do I want to mess with? I think I want to redraw the thumb with my own code and simplify it, which is going to take it away from the mouse over where the color changes when you mouse over. I don't really care about that right now. Like, that would be cool to understand, but let's not, that's a little bit more complex than just drawing a circle. I think we start with that first. I think if we get there and draw something that's cool, then maybe we'll try to do the color changing thing. Essentially what I'm trying to do is draw something really, really, really close to the default juice slider, just so I know how to do it. And then this week 4 color study thing is going to turn into, like, can I make a style or multiple styles of sliders, visual styles, and switch through them? Or can I, like, change the color on things and switch through it? Because eventually what I want to do is turn this into, like, if this were an actual product and I were making a pitch shifter to give to you, I want you to be able to have, like, I want you to be able to purchase themes and colors, essentially. So, like, you'd have some sort of external file, most likely, or at worst, there would be something unlockable in the plugin itself. And, like, you could change that thumb color from salmon to pink to green to whatever for $1 or whatever it is. But first, to do that, I have to, like, prove that I can do that. I can obviously do that within the code of, like, put a button that changes the color, right? But we'll start there and we'll figure out where that goes. So let us start redrawing this slider, I think. So I want to comment all that code and cuss about how much Xcode sucks because it doesn't give me actual Vim keys, and yet I haven't set up. Need to set up LSP in Vim and get that functioning the way that I want it, and then I can build on the command line and not have to worry about Xcode anymore and FX code. So we're definitely going to need the slider radius. So auto slider radius. Let's just do get slider thumb radius slider. Okay, and then what did they do? They set the color. So what we're actually going to do instead is g.set color juice colors salmon, because it's cool. And then they're doing knob color with all the stuff, and then they're float knob X and knob Y. So knob X is X plus half of width. So X is the far left. That makes sense. Oh, I didn't put an equal. Failure. So X is the left side. X is essentially 0. So what I could do here is say that I don't need it here. This, it should actually be like this. G.fill ellipse, I think. G.fill ellipse. This should be slider.get width divided by 2. should be the same thing. Oh yes, equal sign silliness. Yeah, I needed a single equal, not this damn JavaScript triple equal triple. The triple. Float Y is going to be slider pause because that's the position of the slider. Now, what the hell did they do for width and height? See, there's this weird outline thing. XY is X minus slider radius, and Y is Y minus slider radius. Oh, right. So this actually needs to be... Wow, this is going to be stupidly complex looking. Let's do it like this. This actually needs to be slider get width divided by 2 for half the slider minus slider radius, which is already half because that's the diameter, right? The radius is half the diameter of the circle. So then slider pause needs to also have slider radius, and then width and height would be slider radius times 2, which is just the diameter. Yeah. You think that geometry is useless to you, and then you're like writing audio plugins, and you're like, damn it, why didn't I pay attention in 6th grade? Why was I such a fool? Okay, let's see if that works. I expect it to be broken. Man, only streaming for an hour really cuts into the time. Like, I feel like it takes me half an hour to preamble and get to where I want to be, and then we're developing for 30 minutes, and that's it. And then Reaper decided to drop down to the bottom screen. Okay. Look at that. And it goes down and up. It seems like it's not quite centered properly. Maybe it is. Feels a little weird. Also, it feels a little too big. So let's jack with that. I think it's centered if you add the green rect, but not just the yellow. No, I mean centered horizontally. It felt like it was off center a smidge. I'm not really looking at paying attention to the rectangles at this point right now. Huh! Yeah, it wasn't. Oh, right, because I've changed the radius, so now, okay, hold on. This needs to be, oh gosh. I make the math really hard. So I'm off the width and the height, or the I changed the width and height, and I didn't change the X and Y position, and I'm like now trying to do complex math in my head about it. So this really needs to be, it's like diameter times 0.75. And then, which would make, I want half of that. So this would be diameter times 0.75 divided by 2, I think. Yeah. Pretty sure this is going to be right. This is where, like, frickin' geometry grade school math really would have been helpful to really care about way back when. That would have been a smart idea. Good old math. Oh, it's still showing me the old version. No, I don't need to save. How are y'all doing today? Having a good day? Enjoying yourselves? Enjoying potentially a lunchtime stream? I don't know where Hagerman's at. There we go. Now we're good and centered. Okay. Interesting. This is interesting. You see how the friggin' thing doesn't go all the way up to the thing and hit the thing properly? Why does that stop? I don't understand this. Clearly the component size is stopping it from going up further, and I don't understand why that is. Not bad, sore from workouts. Way too many squats already this week. Ooh, yeah, but your legs will appreciate leg day. This is what drove me nuts before. So I changed the size of the slider. I changed the size of the thumb. But the thumb now doesn't go all the way up to the top of the slider. And I don't understand why that is. I don't even know if you can see that. It's so small on stream, but... like, I don't even know what to look through. Because we're filling the ellipse at the specific location. You can add the radius of the thumb in the slider function? Or can you add the radius? I think you and I have the same idea. Can you add the radius of the thumb in the slider function? There's not... set slider isn't popping anything up. I was thinking, can I do set slider thumb radius? But I don't think there's going to be an autofill for that. Slider dot set. What does it give me the option to set? Anything? There we go. Set bounds, set max value, set min value, set size, set slider style, set skew factor. I don't think there's anything about thumb on here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, we're gonna do another thing. Come on, let me draw like a line. I love Xcode and it's autocomplete. It's not a pile of trash at all. Look at this autocomplete from Xcode. Next single. Autocomplete, you stupid Xcode, yeah. It goes along with stupid yellow balloon. Too many arguments to function call. The hell are you talking about? It's just... Oh. Derp. Come on, finish building. I really should just set Reaper to build and start up a project on startup, but I'm lazy. What? Okay. Oh, that's really weird. That's really weird. I don't understand. Oh my god. This is getting me more confused. What's an obnoxious color? Oh, I'll tell you in a second, Hagerman. You'll understand in just a minute. Give me an obnoxious color, one of you two. Tell me an obnoxious color. No, not yellow. Red against black is? No, I like red against black. What is Peru? Okay, we got to figure out what this Peru color is. I'm already using neon green on and yellow, though. All right, we're going to figure out what the heck Peru is. Oh my gosh, that's really weird. I understand why this is happening now. I don't understand. I'll tell you guys a few things that I don't understand, and then maybe we can try to figure it out together. What? Why? Why? Oh my god. What? Ah! What? This makes absolutely no damn sense. What the? Did I write something wrong? Oh my gosh. Okay. So the thought I had in my head was maybe min slider position and max slider position have something to do with where I can draw and where I can't draw. And that seems to be correct. However, it's not in the way that I thought it was. So, we set color to pink. We drew a horizontal line on the maximum slider position. This is our Y, okay? Y-axis is maximum slider position. And the left side is 0 and the right side is get slider width. So 0, remember, is our left side of the box, and get slider width is the right side of the slider box. As you can see, we don't have a pink color here. Doesn't exist. Why is that the case? Because we set color to whatever this weird-ass Peru color is, and then we drew a horizontal line on the minimum slider position. Same thing. They are overlapping lines. What would make sense to me is if the max slider position were up here and stopping right here, and the min slider position were down here. You can see min slider position crosses right through the middle of that circular knob. So that makes sense as to why we're stopping at the bottom. But why isn't max slider position all the way at the top? And can you change those things? So your horizontal line is not at the correct Y height. One of them is not. Yes, that is accurate. So if I took away draw horizontal line min slider position, you would see the same line down here, that like brownish line, except it would be pink. So we've got two overlapping lines. Min and max are the same line. So if I put a breakpoint here, can even show you in real time. Actually, I need to attach. So I think we're attached. Let's see. Why is Reaper not pulling up now? What are you doing? We haven't hit the breakpoint. Oh, there we go. It's just being slow. Okay, now we're hitting the breakpoint. Min slider and max slider position are the exact same. 288 and 288. Also, what gets me is width and height is actually supposed to be 300 and it's 276. I have no idea why. Like, my dumb, ignorant thoughts about this is that width and height should be the width and height of the actual slider object, but you can see if I do slider get width, it gives me back 300 rather than 276. And if I do min slider position and max slider position, like, I haven't defined those, but you would think that they'd get automatically defined. Because I can move the slider around and I can grab the value of that slider. Like, I didn't have to define all the mins and maxes before. And also, even if it is based on the min and max position, if the thumb position is based on the minimum and maximum, well, then the maximum is wrong anyway. Or the minimum or maximum are wrong, right? Like, it's just not, it's stopping and I don't know why it's stopping. It doesn't make any sense. It's very, very, very confusing. Okay. So let's futz with some things. So, but if I do set range, that's gonna fuck things up. So in my editor, I have set range from 0.5 to 2. And that's the min and max of what the thumb values return. Can I set min and max positions somehow? Like, set min and max values. Set min value, set range is minimum maximum. Sets the limits that the slider's value can take. For a slider with 2 or 3 thumbs, this sets the minimum and maximum thumb positions. Okay. This is the weirdest named thing. Because I don't even know what to name these. Because this would be like 0 and 300? That can't be right. We all sit in stunned silence. Twitch chat has no idea what the fuck is going on, and neither do I. But someone in the UK who developed this library fully understands. Okay, so that fixed it, quote unquote. That's min, that's max. That's what I would expect. Okay, so then can I change that? Looks like some kind of CSS to me. Yeah, that's really... This is what's really confusing about how this is written. Set range sets the values the thumb position returns to be used in DSP code, right? This sets the top, sets the, I want to use range, sets the visual placement, sets the visual boundaries of the thumb position on the slider itself. I also have no clue why slider height is 300, but I'm getting 276 from width and height of the draw. It just makes no sense at all. So what I'm going to end up having to do is like rig this up to look differently. Like what I want to do is do like -5 and 305 or something like that. Excuse me. Sorry, I have hiccups for some reason. Yeah, I want to get out of Reaper. Come on, just close. So that's still not where I want it to be. Can I set it to something absurd? And also slider thumb color ID. Thumb is being dragged. Can I do like get thumb radius? Is there any? Nothing. So there's nothing to change the thumb radius whatever. Like, can I change this to -20 and 325 or 320? I bet that doesn't change a damn thing, because I bet you can't change the min and max beyond the min and max of the slider height. Bet you can't do that. -300 and 600. Thanks, Patrick. It'll be so off screen that it won't be useful. I bet you it doesn't let me. I bet you this only lets you do the minimum and the maximum of the... Yeah. That's it. So you have to... This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm sure that there's a reason for this, but like, look, slider height is 300, so I can't go below 0 and I can't go above 320. Which means that my radius on my little slider nubbin has to be a specific size unless I want to make a bigger slider. If I want to, I could set this to 350 and then draw the slider and limit the slider bounds. Like, why? Why would you do that? And I'm sure that I'm doing this all wrong, and that anybody who actually knows how to use juice properly is like, you're insane. Why are you doing this? Like, the only thing I can imagine to do, I'm going to do a little bit of Googling. Like, I'm not going to watch a YouTube video on here, which I think that Josh, the audio programmer, might have some good videos on this that I need to watch later, but like, I do not understand at all why the layout of the slider is the way that it is. It makes zero sense. Does it have some kind of buffer space, maybe kind of like with div containers? Yeah, I mean, like, that's the outline. Right? That those yellow and green outlines are absolutely that. But it just seems like super freaking insane. And this just shows you how to like customize the colors, set the look and feel, which we've done already. Other look and feel, customize drawing, slider customization. Okay. Okay. This is actually going to be useful. The x-coordinate of the top left of the rectangle within which we should draw our rotary slider is x. The y-coordinate is the top left of the rectangle which we should draw our rotary slider. Okay. The width of this is the width of the rectangle within which we should draw our rotary slider. The height is the height of the rectangle within which we should draw our rotary slider, which is stupid because it's too small compared to what I wanted it to be. Slider position is the position of the slider as a proportion in the range of 0 to 1. This is independent of the slider's actual range of values. Okay. Rotary slider angle we don't need, and rotary end angle we don't need. Slider object itself. Like, this is not true. Unless it is and I'm just using it wrong. Like, let's actually use width and height. Fuck off. Hate that I can't use all my actual Vim keys. this will be width divided by 2. This will be height. And now you won't see the green rectangle at all. Man, this is annoying. Actually, I need to build before I use Reaper. Ah, it's 1 o'clock. Damn. I'm gonna have to cut this short in just a second. We're gonna leave confused and frustrated. And mad at Julian Storer. Because we don't understand what Julian Storer was doing. Okay, so now we're drawing within the bounds of what the width and the height of the slider says it should be within the box. So the box, you'll notice min slider pause is now down here, right? Max slider pause is up there, right? Or whatever the layout is. And then the thumb is not quite in the center anymore. And the background is drawn to this size, and we don't even see the lime green box anymore. This slider is going to go off the screen down to there. The width is not right. The height isn't right. They don't give me a correct height property. This is insanity. Like, I know how I have to do this. I have to build the slider such that the slider component itself is actually bigger than I need the slider to be, and then I need to limit the bounds of the slider. But then that's going to cause a bunch of weird shit with the DSP, I'm sure. Ugh, this is annoying. So is it the right height but it's offset? No. Height, when I get height here, what this says to me is this is supposed to be the far left of the component. And I say the component because the component itself, the slider component, is this yellow box, right? Not the actual white part that you see. The X is this left boundary. The Y is the top boundary. The width is this from this X all the way to the Y, or from the X all the way over here. And then the height is this Y all the way down. Except the problem is height isn't the actual height. Height is shorter than what the actual slider height is. So if you remember, there was a green line that was down here, right? That's the height of the actual slider object itself, not the height of this int argument right here. The height of the int argument is too short. And I have no idea. Like, I guess I'm going to have to go dig into the source code to see where the hell it's passing me this and what it's doing, because it feels like it's a bug. It feels like it should just be 300. But if you take the yellow box and move it down, it would be the height of the other two lines. But if you take the yellow box and move it down, it would be... I don't know about that. Also, I need to draw beyond the two lines anyway, because the slider would stop in the... that's where the middle of the slider thumb stops. Right? Like, and maybe you're right. I don't know. Like, I could do auto offset equals slider dot get height minus height, and then this would be draw rect would be offset divided by 2. If I cared as much, I would go on the juice forums and raise hell and be like, what the F? Why does this work the way that it does? But, like, I don't care. And this is just because I want, like, I want to be able to play with the size of the radius of the slider thumb, right? Like, clearly their example code worked just fine, but they know the exact radius that everything needs to be. That makes no sense either. I don't even understand what it's drawing there. Oh. Ah! I think you might be right, Patrick. Hold on. Well, then that would be even more confusing. Okay, that's round thumb. What was I doing? Draw a linear slider background? Yeah. Okay, so let's do... And then I'm gonna have to go back to work. Build. Like, I know if I want to draw this in my jacked up, janky way of doing it, I know how to do it. But it doesn't make any sense as to why I would be forced to do it that way. Yeah, you're right. Patrick, you're totally right. The height is the bounds of... Then why does... Why does... Ugh. Height... The height variable is the height of the slider of the min and max bounds within the component. But that doesn't even make any sense. Like look at this. So height is the size, is the number of height is the number of pixels between the minimum and maximum slider positions, right? So this boggles my mind. Height is the min and maximum between the two. Height, the height variable is the minimum, is the number of pixels between the minimum and maximum slider positions. Okay? Y equaling 0 is the top of the slider component. When I indicate set bounds here, I'm setting slider height at 300, which indicates the top of the component. When I'm setting min and max values, I'm setting the bounds, like the top and bottom of the thumb position. Ugh. Because, like, what I want height to be is what width is. Width is the width of the entire component itself. Height is only the height of the top and bottom position, like the number of pixels between the top and bottom position. Like, that means the height of the rectangle within which we should draw our rotary slider. But that means that, like, it's just so stupid. That means you can't ever draw your rotary slider with x equaling 0 or with y equaling 0. You have to calculate the distance between y to height. It's insanity if you want a centered slider. That's insanity. Or maybe I'm just approaching this completely wrong. Note, the X, Y, width, and height arguments take into account the size and position of any text box the slider may be using. This is why we can just access the slider position and size and use those values. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is expecting... The X, Y, width, and height arguments are expecting for there to be a text box. So... but nobody likes text box on their sliders, so... Whatever. Ugh, man, this is driving me bonkers. I really do have to go back to work. Let's build this. We're going to build it. We're going to look at it, and then I'm going to sign off. Because I got other stuff to do. Even though this has been fascinating in a very, very frustrating way. It doesn't even give me my text box. Rude. I just said I wanted a text box. Whatever. Okay, my assumption is a text box would be like right down here or something like that. I will figure out how to make that happen. Patrick, you're a genius, I think, maybe? Like, because you figured out what the actual height value meant. And I appreciate that. Now I've got to figure out how the heck I want to actually draw these things if I'm custom drawing all these things. So, all right, y'all. I'll be back on Thursday. Once again, noon Pacific. I'll be on time this time. We'll do some more slider drawing. And we'll keep drawing plugins for the rest of the year. 52 of these things I got to do. We're already up to 4. Technically, I'm ahead of the game because this is the 3rd week of January, not the 4th week of January. I got my numbers mixed up. So, we're ahead of the game. It'll be great. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon. See you on Thursday at noon. Later.